Okay, something a little bit different today. This is a new year, and of course, New Year resolutions. Let's think of some fitness stuff. So I have two Power Block expandable dumbbells here. Okay, well, actually, I have two sets. I have a second one from each set. So I have four at the moment, but I'm only going to have two eventually. They are very close. I see a lot of people actually asking constantly what the differences are between the two. I was actually wondering that myself when I was shopping around. I was sort of cross shopping this too, and had all of the same questions that a lot of people had. And you definitely find a lot of good answers, but it's hard to find like a very good video comparison between the two. I kind of seen them in the same video, but those videos didn't really kind of zoom in on any specifics of the two. So I want to go ahead and do that in case you're looking. So they are priced pretty competitively. This one is often on sale for $2.99. Dick's Sporting Goods, Amazon, you can find them for around $300. This guy here is usually a little bit more, I think. It's probably about $340, $350. But you can also find it on sale often for as low as $220. Maybe even lower. I've seen some people say it was $200 at some point for a set of two, which is a crazy good deal actually, for a brand new set of power blocks, expandable power blocks. But I found it for $220, and that's a good deal. So it's actually $80 cheaper, but they're very close. So is there any real big differences between them? Is one better than the other, or is it just the look? And what the deal is? First, I want to say they're actually very similar. The way they operate is pretty much exactly the same. You just set your weights with this plastic bar, and you can add additional weights with this 2.5 pound kind of cylinders that slide inside those cylinders there. So you have two per dumbbell, you get four of this total, and then each dumbbell by default goes up to 50 pounds. So that's with all the weights. It's a 50-pound dumbbell. So is this one. And they can both be expanded to up to 90 pounds with expansion kits. There are two expansion kits for each. Once you go past 50, the next one will take you from 55 to 70, and then stage 3 will take you from 75 to 90. So it's the same deal on both. The way they are right now, they go up to 50 here. So very similar there. What is actually different then? The look is a kind of a big thing. Obviously, you're going to notice this guy here, the Elite, has these two bars. The regular Power Block doesn't. There's also Power Block Sport model, which is exactly the same unit but with gray plates. Everything else is the same. So anyway, we're talking about Power Block and Power Block Elite expandable. So this is the obvious difference. Here you have a little bit wider opening for your hands, which I like. The size is very close, not exactly the same. So this guy is just a little bit shorter, okay, but it's also a little bit wider, about 1 centimeter wider, and it's just a little bit taller, about 5 millimeters taller. Although very hard to tell in this video, but I did measure them. And another very obvious thing is the curvature here. So it's a little bit rounded at the top, and this is just a square. So as far as the look goes, I would say it's a personal preference. When I was looking at them on pictures, when I was shopping, I felt like the Elite looked better. Just kind of like, boxy thing. Thought it looks cool. Now when I have them with me here in person, I actually now think that the regular Power Block expandable looks better. A little bit more serious. So these parts come out. Yeah, it's all the same. They work exactly the same. As far as operation goes, there are no differences whatsoever. The biggest differences for me that I've noticed, these bars here, I mean, you're not supposed to hold by these bars when you use them, so they don't have any kind of true utility there. They're just there maybe for look, maybe just to give you a little bit of support, like when you do certain exercise, so you can, you know, touch your wrist like this, maybe help you with some stability. This one doesn't have that, and I like the wider opening better. So I'm gonna go to another hand. I have my smartwatch here. I got this a little bit sooner, a couple months before I got this one, and whenever I used it, I always made sure to take my watch off because it gets right there in the way. Probably won't be damaged, but it just, you feel, you know, it's not comfortable. I do not have to do it here. Just grab it, and there's nothing really impeding. And even if you have the weights attached, like, let's just do the lowest weight we can, because I'm not looking for a workout right now, I'm just showing a video. So when you pick it up, it just does not get in the way, and I like it. So that's kind of a big benefit for me. However, another thing I noticed, for whatever reason, probably because of the lack of these bars, to give it some additional stability when you hold it, and maybe weight distribution, there's another little bar here. It doesn't affect anything, but just pointing out the difference versus the Elite that doesn't have anything, just open. But what is actually different is the handle where you hold it is a little bit closer to the bottom than it is on the Elite. So you have more room for your fingers and knuckles here. Just gonna demonstrate it like this. Just gonna grab this guy. A little bit harder to see because of that black bar there, but it's not a big difference, about 5 millimeters difference. But what happens as a result of that is when I pick this up, my knuckles and my fingers do end up hitting these bars at the bottom here. It's only when I, you know, kind of get my grip situated here. When I actually start using them, working out, they don't get in the way. It's fine. So with Elite though, on the other hand, I don't have this problem. My knuckles never hit the bars. However, my hand sometimes doesn't get stuck, but I have to like be mindful how I twist it to squeeze it in between those bars. And one other small difference between the two, when you actually go and exercise, they both have a little bit of clunk, but not bad. However, I found that the power block is just a little bit clunkier, a little bit noisier, just a bit. So it has like this kind of a click. Doesn't really affect performance or anything. I'm not worried about that at all, but that's something I also wanted to point out. One more difference I almost forgot to mention, actually, is the way just the weight scale is presented is different on the two. So as you can see, it's a little bit cleaner here. You just have your weights from 10 to 90, and here you have more numbers. The weights are exactly the same, and different steps in the way is exactly the same. So you can actually go in 2.5 pound increments on both. With the Elite, it actually kind of spells it out for you. So it has like all this tiny fine print that kind of explains what happens with the handle and the weights in it. So the handle by itself is just 5 pounds. If you add one of those, it's going to be 7.5 pounds. If you add second one, it's going to be 10 pounds. And then, of course, you go from there. You remove the additional weights. You add your first weight plate, or your first set of plates, and that's how you get to 15. Then again, by adding the additional weights, you get to 17.5, then 20. Remove the plates, or the weights, I'm sorry. Add in the second set of plates, you get to 25. Add weights, you get to 27.50, or and half, and 30, and so on. Here, it's the same exact deal. It just doesn't spell this out the same way. So you're gonna have to do probably a little bit more math in your head. I'm sure once you get used to it, it's gonna be second nature, but you have to kind of think about it. So it starts with 10, and that's your handle with both weights inside of it. So that's the starting point that it spells out here. Now you can actually make it 7.5 or 5 pounds by removing those weights, but it just doesn't say it here. sort of does in the fine print there. As you can see, just kind of explains what those are. But yeah, if you have 30 pounds, well, that's, with 30 over here, but you have to kind of calculate in your head, well, with this 30 weight, you can actually have it as low as 25. You just have to remember you have to remove some of those additional weights. So it's a little bit, it's not as intuitive, I guess, as this kind of scale explains to you, because this is just color coded and it doesn't say what weight it is. But here it could get confusing. You might have it on a setting that says, say 30, but it's actually 25. Or you might have it on a setting that says 50, but it's actually going to be at the 45 level or 47.50. So something to keep in mind. So there's just a little bit of what's different between the two, other than the price and availability. So the power blocks might be a little bit harder to find. It is my understanding when I hear from people that they actually have been discontinued by now. So that's why there are such aggressive sales. If you find them, it's a good deal. If you see any expansion sets on sale as well, and if you think you'll need those eventually, maybe up to 70 pounds or up to 90 pounds, I think it might be a good idea to consider just grabbing them right away too, because from what I see online with some of the older power block models, once they go discontinued and all the expansions are sold out, you're just not going to be able to find them anymore because they won't be making them, and they're not interchangeable. So it's probably a bit of a strategy on power block side. They keep making new models. They're basically exactly the same as previous models, but just slightly different to ensure that they don't fit each other, each other's expansion sets or weight plates. So if you need more weight at some point, you're going to have to buy a whole new set. So if you're doing that, if you want more weight, go ahead and get it. Might be a good idea. I went ahead and ordered one expansion set, so stage 2, that goes up to 70 pounds. With this one, they're available. They still make them. They're a little bit more expensive. Not just the dumbbell itself or a set of dumbbells, but also the expansion set, stage 2 and 3, cost about $140 to $160. For the power block, when you find them on sale, you can get them as low as $90. So a little bit better deal. I'm gonna only keep one of these sets, and after a few days, I really like some things about the Elite, and I do like some things about the power block. I could go either way. I think both will be perfectly good. I have no complaints. I could definitely be happy with either one, but I'm gonna end up keeping the power block here because it's cheaper, it's a little bit easier to live with not having to deal with the bars on the side. So just pick it up and go, and I don't have to deal with any of this nonsense. And it's cheaper, of course, so I'm just gonna keep this one. I'm gonna return this guy. So I hope it helps. I just wanted to give a quick kind of look for you guys if you're looking at them too, which is very likely that you are, because I see a lot of people asking this type of questions online. So I hope it helps. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I'll just leave it there. Thanks.